Hello everyone, and welcome back to my channel. Today we are tackling the man himself, Venti. So I just wanted to redraw this old piece from, I believe, 2021. It was one of my most popular prints, and I also had a really fun time drawing and making it. I think I have a speed paint up on the channel for the original Venti piece, and how I kind of struggled with like his face and everything, but ultimately this ended up being one of my favorite art pieces. And here I am just popping in a few references. You'll see this go in and out for the most part, and it'll disappear sometimes and reappear. But this year I wanted to redraw it to see my growth as an artist, and I think it definitely shows. I think you can definitely tell that I've improved in the past 2 years. This was a lot of fun to draw, and even much more fun to edit. Imagine editing down 6 hours of footage into a 15-minute video is a lot, but I got it done, and I'm actually really happy with the editing, so pat on the back to me. But just to talk about for the process a little bit, I did end up using my painterly style for this, so if you haven't seen my How I Shade video, it's basically when I use my sketch as my, like, line art. So basically, I don't do line art, to put it maybe simpler. I basically just do a sketch, clean it up to the best of my ability, and then I put colors on it, and then I merge all of my layers, and I just render everything on that, which was a lot of fun. Here for the sketching, you'll see me use several layers just because I map out each part, but ultimately I end up merging everything, drawing and painting on one layer, and then afterwards I think I add a few blend modes like multiply, add, I think I may add an overlay layer, I'm not 100% sure. I'm using my usual brushes. Whenever I do my painterly style, I actually only use one brush, I use one brush for all of the rendering, basically. So it is my good boy brush. I thought the name was funny. I did create the brush myself. It is my own creation. And it's just really useful for sketching if you turn down the opacity. It's very good for coloring, for blending. If anyone ever wants me to make a video on that, I'd be happy to. Here I am alpha locking my sketch and changing the color of it because I set my sketch to multiply so that when I put the base colors down, the sketch layer like adheres to the colors and it changes it to be more atmospheric. So for example, for the skin tone, I changed the sketch to a dark red, so that when I put the lighter skin tone on top, it kind of turns into like this bright red, and it makes all the colors look quite vibrant. You can see here as I'm filling in the skin tone and the base colors. I also just popped in a background. It's a really simple background. I was thinking of like putting in trees and stuff to make it more atmospheric, but I thought the simple, dark bluish purple background was good enough. I really enjoyed rendering this piece. It did take a while, as I mentioned. It took about 6 hours. It was not done all in one sitting. I think I did it across a week, if I remember correctly. But yeah, I think the thing that took me the longest to color was the skin. Mostly because I just kept changing the base color like over and over and over again. As you see here, I'm like fiddling and fixing this little spot on his cheek a million times, which I believe I ultimately get rid of at the end. Here's me popping in the reference of my art before. And yeah, shading the skin was probably the most fun, but also the most time consuming, just because I had to like figure out the lighting. And intense lighting like this, I really wanted to show the planes of the face, unlike my 2021 drawing, which I think I did a decent job at showing the planes, but I definitely wanted to like use those hard and soft edges to my advantage. So I tried my best to shade, and I think it turned out well. I like how the face turned out. But it was definitely just a bunch of back and forth, painting and rendering. It's really just however you feel finished with the piece. There's no like stopping point to rendering. In fact, it's just when you feel like the art piece is done. And I'm quite happy with the finished product, which you will see later on in this video. So keep watching. I also want to wish everyone a happy Lunar New Year, if you celebrate or if you don't. I'm just hoping this year, in general, it'll be a great year, full of wonderful luck and prosperity. So yeah, I've been doing a lot of digital art recently, because I've been posting a lot of traditional art recently. At the time of filming this video, I have my sketchbook session. So I have the painting on the cover of my sketchbook, then I have the colored pencil video, and then I have the sketching Alex, sketching a new character video. All three of those are up by now. And I've just been doing a lot of sketchbook work, or at least on my channel it seems like I'm doing a lot of sketchbook work. To be honest, I haven't really been drawing in my sketchbook a ton. I think I have like 2 new pages in there since recording those videos. But I've been doing a lot of digital art because I've been working on a lot of projects, just a lot of things in general. I'm excited. I gotta start prepping things, and it's just gonna be a ton of fun. I am thinking to do a lot of digital art videos. I know I said I wanted to kind of like go away from the speed paints, but I want to kind of alternate between traditional and digital art. If I ever get the chance to, maybe we'll do some like crafts, just me like doing things with my hands, a variety of things. But just enjoying the art process. I also want to thank you for watching this far, and I hope you continue. This content takes a lot of time and effort to make, and I would really appreciate if you subscribed, liked, shared, and comment to further the growth of my channel, because I would love to continue making these videos, and your support greatly helps. I'd also want to reach 100 subscribers by March 30th. So if you'd like to reach that goal with me and be along for the ride, I would greatly appreciate that. Also, on Instagram, my commissions are open, and I'd also like to get my first commission by March 30th. So if you guys would like to help, I would greatly appreciate that as well. Through monetary or just viewing my profiles, my social medias, it's all greatly appreciated. Thank you all so much for your continued support. So that's my little segment there. So go ahead and support. But yeah. Here I am rendering the clothing. Clothing was probably the thing that took second longest. I think the quickest thing to render was between his hat and his hair. But his clothes took a while because there's just a lot of little details in Genshin Impact characters. I know players and artists of the Genshin fandom will agree with me that Genshin Impact characters have a lot of little details. But the art style is beautiful. I think all the models and characters are really cute. Also, I think there may be like a new banner soon, or like, I know the banner is always constantly updating, so if you're pulling for anyone in particular, I hope that you're able to, and you don't have to spend too many primo gems or get pity broken. But yeah, Venti is probably my favorite character. I've drawn him the most besides Bennett, I believe, but I haven't drawn Bennett in a while. So Venti is probably the most recent Genshin Impact character I've drawn, and then Bennett, and then who else? I think I drew Kokomi and I drew Ayato. Those are the other 2 that I've drawn. But yeah, I'm thinking about putting this up in my store, also with the original Venti print that I did. I don't know how many times I'll redraw him, but I just really felt like painting and rendering something, and I didn't want to like come up with a character to then like explore a composition. I kind of just wanted to draw something, which I highly recommend doing redraws if you just don't really feel like thinking of an entire environment to put a whole new character in. Doing redraws is just wonderful if you just want to draw, And I had a lot of fun drawing this. Just rendering, painting, doing my usuals. It was a ton of fun. And I think I mentioned this, I kind of went on a tangent, but I only used my Good Boy brush for most of the rendering, and then the other brush I used was the soft brush. It comes default in Procreate. By the way, I'm using Procreate on my iPad mini 6, Apple Pencil Generation 2. That's what's compatible with that iPad. And the soft brush comes default in Procreate. I usually do that for like extreme lighting or like really soft shadows. I don't really use it for anything else, but it's a very useful brush. So here I am finishing up the base colors, I believe. I'm just rendering the eyes. I like to render the eyes last just to, really spice up everything and keep me motivated. I think I'm going to add a few shadows, or do I just end up merging all my layers? You'll see in a second, and I'll see in a second too. But yeah, those are the brushes I usually use in Procreate. Maybe one of these days I'll do like a video where I explore all my brushes and I can tell you all about them. I tend to use the same brushes over and over again. Mainly my Good Boy brush is for sketching, colors, shadows, and then for line art I usually use either Technical Pen, the Script pen, which is in calligraphy, or like I'm not very picky about my line art. I usually stick with one brush the entire time, excuse me. But yeah, it doesn't really change too much. Oh, here I am showing you that I merged all my layers. I duplicated it to save a backup, and then now we're going to go on to rendering, I believe. So here I am, just picking colors, picking and choosing, cleaning up areas, getting rid of all those sketchy lines, doing the lighting, just really refining everything. That's what rendering is. It's to refine to a certain degree that you enjoy. But yeah, back to what I was saying about brushes. I tend to use the same brushes all the time. I don't really change it unless I'm doing a different art style. My 3 main art styles, it's really 2 and then like a separate one that I draw every once in a while, is my painterly style, which you're seeing here. Then I have my line art style, which I do sketch, line art, colors, stuff like that. My painterly style, sketch, then color, render. And then my other style, which is, I don't really have a name for it. I guess it's like my super painterly style, which is basically when I use one single brush for everything. I don't ever change up. Usually it's a hard round brush with pressure opacity, I believe it's called. It's the default round brush in Procreate. I think it's in the painting tab. But it's just a round brush, and I sketch in it, I color with it. I usually do drawings in grayscale and then set them to color afterwards. You'll see in a future video when I redraw Alex again, I guess it's not a redraw because it's going to be recent, how I go about using just a single brush. I'll elaborate on my process and drawing in grayscale, because drawing in grayscale is actually a lot of fun. I definitely recommend it just as a form exercise. That way you don't have to worry about color. And then if you want to put color, you can always do it after with things like overlay. I think some people use like soft light, hard light, just stuff like that. People also use I think it's color mapping or color gradients. I don't remember what it's specifically called in Procreate. It kind of varies between program to program, but they all basically do the same thing, where you change your grayscale to colored values of like a whole different spectrum. You can set up gradients and different like sections of color. It's really cool. I've only used it like maybe like twice. Normally I just pick colors by hand. I don't usually use the gradient mapping or color mapping or whatever it's called. But it's a good feature. I definitely think it's good for like color palettes, even though Procreate does come default with color palettes, so I really want to use those more. I really need to exercise my color muscle memory. Like, I think I have a decent understanding of color theory, how to pick colors, how to pick shadows, but I also think it's really fun to exercise yourself and use just limited color palettes. That's always just super fun. I definitely recommend. I've done it a few times, but I definitely want to do it more. So if you want to see that on the channel, let me know. But here I am going around rendering. It's just really simple. You just go around, you do things. And I think for this process, the longest part was the base colors, because sketch I knocked out pretty easily, just because I had a reference, and then I went to base colors, which definitely took the longest just because I was so unsure of what I was doing. But because I kept my sketch so clean, rendering didn't take as long. Rendering didn't take as long because my sketch was cleaner. I definitely find if you're going to do the painterly method, the cleaner your sketch is, the easier the rendering is. I definitely think it's more fun when you have more sketch lines to clean up, but it's also infinitely more tedious. So yeah, but I kept my sketch lines pretty neat. I actually got rid of a lot of them, to be honest. I think most of them are in the skin, the hair. A lot of the clothing has like its outlines, but everything else is mostly shadows, forms, just blocking in those shapes and making them look readable. it's just a lot of fun to go around rendering, coloring, doing all that sweet, jazzy coloring. I enjoy coloring, it's fun. I also just want to, in general, just work on a lot of things. But yeah, here I am adding in the petals, which I kind of struggled with putting like a formation of them to make them like not cover Venti's face or his hand, but also I wanted them to flow in a certain direction. So yeah, putting in the petals was a little complicated, but I enjoyed it. I definitely enjoyed it. I added a bit of lighting, and then I think I signed it, and here is the final piece. I definitely enjoyed how it turned out. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye-bye!